Welcome to the Transform Your Wedding podcast, a how-to guide for taking your wedding to a whole new level. Here's your host, Marie Kubin from Rent My Wedding.
Hey everyone, today we're talking all about photography and decor. So normally on the podcast, I'm chatting with wedding planners to get their tips and advice about wedding decor. But I thought it would be interesting to get a whole different perspective. So wedding photographers are kind of like a neutral third party. They see so many weddings every year, but they're not personally invested in the planning and it's not their own wedding. So they can give us, I think, a really good perspective on what might look really amazing for wedding decor and maybe some of the things that don't work as well. Plus, for those of you that are interested in getting your wedding published, or maybe you just want that epic photo for Instagram, it's important to think about getting those decor shots worked into your photographer's timeline. So I'm excited to chat with Jennifer Domenick. She's the lead photographer and owner of Love Life Images. It's a wedding photography studio based in Washington, D.C. Hey, Jennifer. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to share some helpful insight.
Yeah, and you've been published in so many wedding magazines, so I'm really excited that you can shed some insights on why, decor is so important when it comes to wedding photography.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been photographing weddings for quite a long time and seen so many beautiful settings. So I can share lots of helpful information about how to capture that really lovely.
Yeah, and some couples, they actually start out thinking, I want my wedding in a magazine someday. And there's other couples who maybe they just want that really amazing Instagram shot. There's all different reasons why you might want to focus on decor when it comes to your wedding photography. So, what are some ways that couples can, kind of seek out that kind of photographer who's really going to be on board with making that whole album be not just the couple, but also all of the little details from the day?
hmm Yeah, well, you said it. You said it perfectly. That the photography is, of course, first about the couple and about the wedding and capturing the moments and telling the story. But the wedding decor is an important part of the wedding and telling the story of the wedding, actually, and capturing that is part of our job as photographers. And there's a lot of different ways to do it that are important to know about and understand, so that you can get some great photos of it. As photographers, it's something that we definitely want to photograph and capture. It's will help to help for submissions to magazines, and it definitely is something that you want to remember from the wedding. So yeah, it's important to find photographers that not only can capture the whole wedding, but also capture the decor shots. So, yeah.
Definitely. And to make sure that decor shots are included in your photography, are there certain things that couples should do? Should they ask questions up front? Should they look at portfolios, maybe see if those photographers are actually taking those kind of photos? What's kind of the best way to really make sure that when you get that photo album back, it's going to have all those little detailed shots that you're expecting?
Mhm. Yeah, so I would suggest definitely looking through a photographer's portfolio thoroughly. Asking to see a full wedding is always helpful, so that couples can see from beginning to end kind of what a photographer delivers in a full set of images. A lot of times, photographers will show just a few images on their website, and while that's helpful and beautiful and lovely, it's best to see a full set of images from the wedding. And that will give you an insight into whether or not the photographer took the time to photograph the decor, took the time out of the timeline to make that happen, and what those images look like, and what the settings were. So that's one way. You certainly could look through Instagram and find the venue that you are getting married at, and see if there are photographers who have done that kind of work at the same venue or similar venue. And that can give you some help and insight into whether or not they will be able to photograph your decor as well. It's really about the photographer understanding that that's something that's important to you and setting aside the time during the day to make those images happen. So.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So just communicating with the photographer up front and making sure that they understand you want all of those details and all the decor captured. Yeah, I think that's a great tip. And when it comes to, considerations, so if you are going to go for that full coverage where you want so many photos of every little piece of the wedding day, what are some of the considerations to keep in mind, whether it's, timeline or budget? What are some of the things that you need to think about?
Mhm. Well, most importantly, there's certainly timeline. You want to consider, how much time you're going to allow the photographer to not only capture all of the different elements of the day, from, the family photos to portrait pictures, but also allowing the photographer to have time once the reception is set up, and also the ceremony. You want to capture the beautiful decor of the ceremony as well, but giving them some time to get in there before the guests have come in, to capture everything that as it is before it's been touched, or anyone has sat down, or any of the escort cards have been removed, is definitely something that you want to allow for the day. But the photographer should also make it clear that they need that time as well in the timeline to the couple. So oftentimes we'll ask for that extra time in between usually the ceremony and the reception. We usually only needs about 15 to 20 minutes to capture that, the room, or the flowers and the decor and all of that. Another thing that we often do is, if we have a wedding that we know is going to have a really elaborate decor setup and has put a lot of money into all of that, and it's going to be really lovely, we'll hire a third photographer to photograph that, and that person will maybe just come in for just those pictures, and that's something that we offer as part of a team coverage for our couples. So you can hire a team of photographers, and then we make the decisions about what kinds of things we want to use the different photographers to photograph during the day. So that's something that you can consider as well, and talk to the photographer about how many photographers will they have there on that day. What will the photographers be photographing, and how do they plan to use their abilities to their, for the best coverage of the wedding.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Thinking about the timeline, making sure you've booked enough hours, and then maybe even booking additional photographers to make sure, the photographer can't be in all places at once. So if you want to do extensive coverage of portraits and, group shots in between the ceremony and reception, then you might need to have that additional photographer who's then at the venue and getting those shots before all the guests arrive. Which I thought was another great point. Is it's important to get decor shots where there's no people in them. I can tell you, we publish a magazine over at Rent My Wedding, and a lot of times we get these beautiful submissions. The room is gorgeous, but there's a bunch of kids running around, and there's all, waiters and things that just distract from the image. So when it comes to publishing, it's, I think, so important to make sure you have shots where it's just the decor without the guests being in the shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And sometimes that can be challenging because so many people are trying to, get in there and get into the room, and everyone's excited to see it, and they want to hop in and put their coats on, or, put down things on the tables, but we just need that, few minutes just to capture it all. There are some circumstances where it's even helpful to have photos where, maybe there are guests sitting, but it's more of like the sense of the dinner. Maybe people are interacting, and you're showcasing the decor in a way that, even though there are people sitting and eating dinner, it looks lovely, but it is helpful to have the room cleared. So
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the different types of decor, what would you say photographs the best? Are there certain elements that you can say, like, yes, these always photograph really well?
Well, from from a photographer's perspective, it really has more to do with light. So for us, it's about it's about setting up decor in really nice light. So for example, I can remember one time that we were in a ballroom and the shades could go up and down. And even though the shades were going to be down for the entire reception, we asked for them to be open because it's good to have the daylight and let the daylight come in. So so we're looking for decor that's in really beautiful lighting, and that's really helpful to us as photographers because you know, when you only have a few minutes to capture it and there's not a lot of time to really set up lights or, you know, bring in our own lighting, it's important for us to be able to use what we have. So the daylight was, in that circumstance, what was better for us to have the daylight to photograph the decor. So so in on a wedding day, you know, when there's decor that's set up, you know, maybe for a cocktail reception or for the ceremony, that's outside, that makes it, you know, that much easier and that much more lovely to capture all of those details. So yes, that I would say that lighting is even more important than certain decor being more easily photographed.
Definitely. Oh, that makes so much sense. Now, on the flip side, is there anything that you would say just does not photograph well at all? Or is it, again, mainly the lighting that's the factor there?
Um, so there's not really anything that doesn't photograph well. Certainly, okay, so here's one small tip. When we're photographing the tables during a reception, it is nice if, you know, maybe some of the extra things that will go on the table at the very end, so like the butter and the salt and pepper shakers, if those are not actually part of the like decor scheme, then it's actually better not to have those on. So sometimes we'll just remove those because it doesn't really add to the look and feel that and the aesthetic that they were going for. But there are certain circumstances where, you know, if the couple has brought in their own lighting or they've worked with someone to provide lighting, if the color temperature of the lighting is not balanced correctly with each other. So sometimes there's LED lights that don't match the incandescent lights in the right way. That can be a little bit challenging. So so I always say, you know, make sure that your lighting scheme is consistent and that you have someone who's providing it that can provide, you know, consistent lighting setup for you. So sometimes different vendors will provide those lightings, and you know, sometimes it's a DJ and a lighting company, but we find that it's better if, you know, a lighting company is just providing that, or if, you know, you're getting all of your lighting from one vendor. So so that's one thing that maybe can be challenging when you're photographing decor, is the color temperature. But a really great photographer, any really great photographer who understands light and understands how to photograph in any lighting situation, will be able to photograph decor. So no matter what we're given, no matter what setting, no matter what kind of lighting, we understand how to make really great and beautiful pictures in that setting. And that's, I think, what is important about to know about photography and decor. So
Definitely. Yeah. So, any other tips that you have just in general about how to get the best shots of decor at the wedding?
no, I would say, you know, it's definitely about letting the photographer know if there are, like, even if there are special decor items that you as a couple have spent some extra time on. Maybe there's some DIY items that have a lot of meaning to you. If there's something that you maybe have, you know, a project that you've worked on there's, there's a variety of different examples of this. Maybe there's, you have centerpieces that have different places that you visited as a couple, and you've created those yourself. That's something that we would want to know. Or if there's special gifts at the table that that maybe you've put together for every group of people, we would want to understand that and know, that that's something that you want us to photograph. And in general, it's about communicating with your photographer and giving them lots of really great information before the event. That's helpful. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, those are some great tips. And would you say, is it helpful for clients that want to give you an actual shot list? So let's say maybe they make a list of all the things that they did with the decor that they love it and they want photos of it. So like you were saying, maybe the favors or the place cards or whatever it may be. Is that something a photographer would use on the wedding day, or is it more visual that you walk around the room and take pictures as you go?
No, I don't mind having a list. I know some photographers don't like to get lists, but I actually don't mind it at all, because sometimes, we're focused on moments, we're focused on people, we're focused on, photographing the entire event. So we may not know about something more specific. There's been a variety of different things. Maybe there's something that you've included on your bouquet that has meaning to you. We definitely are looking for these things, but it's helpful if there's a list, and there's, that way we can sort of check off the list as we go. So yeah, the list can be very helpful to us. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Jennifer, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your company.
Sure. So my name is Jennifer. I'm the lead photographer of a team of photographers who photograph weddings and events in the DC area and beyond. We're 3 photographers who have a common philosophy and style and approach. And we focus on really telling the story of any wedding that we photograph. And we've been doing this for a really long time, and it's just something that we're all very passionate about. We love to photograph weddings, everything about them, the moments and the people, and getting to know everyone is something that that is really close and near and dear to our hearts. So that's who we are.
Awesome. And how can everyone get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can catch us on Instagram at Love Life Images, and our website is lovelifeimages.com. And we're on Instagram, we're on our website, and yeah, you can catch us there.
Amazing. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights. It was so much fun chatting with you.
Yeah, it was great to chat with you, and hope this was helpful.
Well, I hope you enjoyed learning all about photography and decor. Now, don't forget, you can catch all of our podcast episodes over at transformyourwedding.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Rent My Wedding, your one-stop shop for event rentals. Order online and rentals are delivered right to your door. Shipping is free both ways nationwide. Rent lighting, backdrops, photo booths, and more. With the most 5-star reviews in the industry, Rent My Wedding makes rentals easy and affordable. Book your rentals today at www.rentmywedding.com.